Hey y'all, I'm Smoking Joe Lasher and welcome to the Ingles table. Today we're gonna make stuffed meatballs with a tomato cream sauce. I got everything I need at my local Ingles, so let's get started. And here we are, I've already started. I've got a nice medium-sized mixing bowl. In this mixing bowl, I have 1 pound of 80/20 ground chuck and 1 pound of ground pork. Got from the Ingles meat department. It's not seasoned pork, it's just ground pork. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start with some breadcrumbs, and these are an Italian breadcrumb. Ingles Laura Lynn brand has a nice panko breadcrumb style, Italian style. I've got about a half a cup of grated Parmesan cheese. I've got a couple of teaspoons of garlic. You can use fresh minced garlic, a couple of cloves if you'd like. We've got a couple of tablespoons of fresh chopped sage. We've got 1 large egg right in the pot or in the bowl. We've got some salt and pepper to taste. You can always add a little less or a little more. So we're gonna take this, no way around it. We're gonna get our hands into here. We're gonna mix this thoroughly, but not tightly, just thoroughly mix it loose. And then we're gonna roll these into meatballs. We're gonna stuff them with some cubed Gruyere cheese. It's just gonna make for a really nice surprise for anyone that's eating this at the table. And we're mixing the meatballs. Mamma mia. I usually put on some wonderful Italian dinner music while I do this. My grandma Vertuzzi would love these. And she would say, I use my hands, I have to use my hands. All right, so we've mixed this thoroughly, but not real tight. So no way around it. We're gonna get our hand in there. You can use a 2-ounce scoop if you'd like. I like to just kind of eyeball it, pull this out. Then we've got our cheese cubes right here. You can get that in the dairy department at Ingles, or at the cheese department at Ingles. In fact, they have a wonderful selection. So we're just gonna take that cube, stuff it in there, and we're just going to tightly encase that in the meatball. And there we go. We're gonna do that about 18 to 20 times with this mixture, and we're gonna get them into the pan. All right, so we've got the meatballs done. I've kind of shifted them to the side. In the meantime, I put a cast iron pan, you can use any skillet, on the stove with some olive oil. I've got that nice and hot. We're just gonna set these meatballs right into that oil. You can hear that sizzle. And all we're gonna do is put them in here, not to cook them all the way through. We just wanna brown the sides to kind of trap all that juice in and all that flavor that we had put into them. So we're gonna put these in. Might take 5 minutes or so, but we just want to kind of twist them and turn them until they're browned on all sides, and then we're going to put them into a preheated oven at about 425 degrees. Should take maybe 20 minutes or so to get those where we want them at an internal temperature around 150, 155 will be perfect. All right, so my meatballs are in the oven and they're finishing off in there. Like I said, about 20 to 25. So we're gonna take that time to make a nice tomato cream sauce. So I've got a saucepan here, or a high-sided skillet. I'm going to throw some diced onion into that skillet. You can hear it sizzling, it's nice and hot. I've got about a tablespoon or so of olive oil in there. I don't think you can have too much. We're just gonna let those onions cook for 2 or 3 minutes till they become translucent. Start to break down a little, and then we're gonna throw some minced garlic in there for only about a minute. So I'm gonna take a little bit of garlic into that hot pan, or a little, or a lot, depending on who you are, but I love that. We're just gonna go for another minute or so. Let that garlic aroma start to come out of the pan. Ooh, it's smelling good. All right, now that garlic started to brown just a little bit and those onions are breaking down, I've got a 28-ounce can of Laura Lynn crushed tomatoes in a tomato puree. I've got, once again, some salt, some pepper. Seasoning is totally to taste always. And then in this, I've got a little more Italian seasoning blend. You can use fresh oregano or diced oregano. I've got some red crushed pepper in there. So I'm just gonna pour that blend into that. We're gonna give it a nice stir. We're gonna let this simmer for about 10 to 15 minutes, just to let those flavors really start to meld. But you wanna get it nice and mixed. And we're gonna reduce our heat to a low, medium, or if not even a low heat. We just really want it to simmer. And by the time this is done, our meatballs ought to be ready to come out of the oven. Okay, so we've got a nice simmer. These flavors have just really started to meld. You can look at it and see what a beautiful pan of sauce. So I've got some heavy whipping cream, about a half a cup. I've let that sit on the counter at room temperature for a while. Putting cold cream sometimes into a hot sauce is not gonna be your friend, so it'll curdle up. But we're gonna put that room temperature heavy cream into the sauce. And then I've got about a half a cup of Parmesan cheese, grated and shredded, because that's what I had left over. And we're gonna put that in, and then we're just gonna give this a nice stir. Let that cheese start to melt down, and let that sauce thicken up. Gets a nice cream color. Just beautiful. And we've pretty much removed the heat. At this point, I do have it on low right now, but as soon as we get this stirred in, we're gonna remove the heat, and we're just gonna set it to the side and pull our meatballs out of the oven. All right. We brought some beautiful meatballs. Some of these you can see that cheese starting to pop out of the inside. Just amazing. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our plate, take some of this tomato cream sauce here, and you could put these all in a platter if you'd like. You can put the sauce all over top of the meatballs if you'd like. But today we're gonna do this. We're just gonna take one of these beautiful cheesy meatballs, put right onto there. I mean, come on, look at this. And then to finish that off, I've got some shredded Parmesan cheese. And just to be fun, we're gonna put a little grated Parmesan cheese there, or shredded again, I should say. Plenty of cheese. And then I got a nice loaf of Italian bread from the Ingles bakery. We're gonna put a couple of slices of that to soak that up. And there you have it. Voila. I want to thank you so much for joining us today. Remember to explore the website for more great recipes, and I'll see you next time.